Good morning, guys. I want to bring up a few things about Sweden. There's actually a politician I want to talk about, so you know how corrupt our system is. Sweden was always considered a role model country among other nations and among other people. It looked good on the outside, but in reality, there's nothing different with Sweden and the Soviet Union, East Germany, Cuba and so on. It's been run by basically one family and one party. We've had a few changes in governments, but that's when this family hasn't gotten their will the way they want. Then they change. The moderate party has been in power for a few times, but the same shit. We even have a bank that is owned by the taxpayers. The government is not using it. They're using the capitalists and the globalists' banks. They don't use their own bank. That's how deep in the pockets of these rich people they are. They control the media through something called media support, media sponsorship. All the big media houses get funding, tax money, and that way they can keep controlling the minds of the Swedish people. It's a very dirty game. Then why could Sweden have this aura around it, around the world? Because there's one thing we have that we should be very proud of. We have some fantastic companies. Sadly, most of them are also controlled by this family. But I think we're number 3 in the world of inventions and patents over the years, which is amazing for a small country like Sweden. We have so many things to be proud of. Our ancestors who built the country that is now being destroyed, rioted, burned to the ground. You all know what happened in Malmö, the incredible terrorist attacks, the riots, the terrorists, the government, the Social Democrats have imported. And in a while you'll understand how the Socialist Party recruits their people. This Rasmus Paludan, the Danish politician that was banned from entering Sweden and banned for 2 years to enter Sweden, he has a Swedish father. We are now banning our own blood from entering Sweden if they're against the Islamization of our country. I have no problem with Islam. I travel a lot in the Middle East. I love it there, but they proved their agenda in Sweden this weekend. It's sad to see. They got the refugee status in Sweden. They got the privilege to live in our country. We took care of them, we feed them, we house them, we school them, we give them welfare. Not many of them work. And this is the way they say thank you to the Swedish taxpayers. We have a minister now. He's an extremely intelligent guy, and he comes from a country with extremely intelligent people. I have lots of friends there, and I've been there many times. I even have friends from the country here. But he was born in Manchester, England, and they're talking to him as a future possible Prime Minister. The only problem is he's a member of the Socialist Party, Social Democrats, so he can do anything he wants. He came here to Sweden. He, as I said, he was born in Manchester. Moved from Manchester to Iran. His family are from Iran. Then they fled to Sweden, 1989. Of course, they didn't get refugee status because they were British citizens. So they were ordered to leave Sweden. They could probably stay here as Brits, but they refused. So they went underground. They lived illegally in Sweden. Then when the Moderates party won the election, they gave them refugee status on humanitarian reasons. So we now give refugee to British citizens. All you Brits, come on, come over. I wouldn't mind you guys coming. His name is Shekarabi. He then became a social democrat, and he worked his way up very fast. He became chairperson of the Social Democrat Youth League. But the problem was, he was, of course, he came from a culture where anything is possible, any means, any ways. It's not like that in Sweden. So he was caught siphoning funds of the youth party for his own personal gain. Of course he denied it, but every politician denies it. Have you ever heard a politician standing up for himself and say, sorry, I made a mistake, or sorry, I was a bit crooked? That won't happen. He said he had no idea, of course. Then during his leadership in the, it's called SSU in Sweden, he was also cheating and inflated the number of members this SSU had. A reason for doing so is that the Social Democrats have put up a system that the more money, the more members, the more money they get from the government. It's pure and simple to stay in power, and they get away with it by controlling, as I said, the media, and they have this big family behind them who lets them get away with anything they want. We have a constitution in Sweden, and the constitution is actually four different items. I'm not going to go into that. They break every item. Freedom of expression under the constitution. Freedom of press under the constitution was broken this weekend when they allowed the terrorists to destroy Malmö. And a good friend of mine said, I hope the government won't clean up Malmö. Let them live in the shit after they burned and destroy it. Of course, Malmö is run by the Social Democrats, the socialists, and they'll clean it up as soon as possible. They don't want this to be seen all over the world. Of course, Malmö is also bankrupt. It's funded by the rest of Sweden. This Shekarabi, he also sat in the police as a member of the police in something called Uppsala. The only problem was he wasn't Swedish citizen, and he didn't live in the county where he represented the police. This was totally illegal. But he was a Social Democrat. So what did the Social Democrats do? Yes, they made him a minister in the government, and he's been in the government now, in the parliament, for about over 10 years, I think. And that's how they reward each other. The more you cheat, the better you get, as long as you're a Social Democrat, and as long as you can get the message out that people believe you. And why do you think they keep this guy? Of course, he's an immigrant, and he's presented as a successful immigrant. He looks good, he talks good, he dresses well, but he's actually a criminal. He shouldn't be in Sweden. You can't go underground and be a minister and a prospect for Prime Minister when you've done all these crimes. And this is what we know about. Imagine how much we don't know about. Now he's working very hard to make Sweden like Iran, the same Iran he as a British citizen fled from. He wants women to be forced to wear burqas and hijab and all those things. He's trying very hard to destroy Sweden together with his bosses. For what reason, I don't know. That's my little view on Sweden. Next video will be more about news. I just wanted to give you a background how hopefully or hopelessly corrupt the Swedish society is. Everything you see on the outside is just a facade. And as they used to say, if you change the name of a zebra, it doesn't change the, what do you call that? The color of the zebra. And that's how it is in Sweden. we had a minister called Åsa Romson. He said anybody who takes the subway becomes automatically Swedes. Like you take the subway, that changes hundreds of generations of genes. It doesn't. It takes many generations. They said it takes about 5 generations in America just to become accustomed to the society. Then another 5 generations to have the genes of the country. I don't know. I'm not a professor. People know that better than me. Have a good day. Bye.